Today's manhwa begins in a mysterious room, inside of which the sounds of training are clearly happening. Next, we watch a woman's hand trying to pump up her arm using a dumbbell. The guy lying on the bed at this moment understands that everything that is happening now is wrong. The training continues and mommy asks this guy if it hurts, to which she gets the answer no. While the woman continues to work like a master with this guy's big limousine, he thinks that this is a mistake. While the guy decides that he shouldn't have let this happen, the waifu asks if she'll finish training soon. In response to this, the guy begins to tremble and tells this woman that training is in full swing. The thought that this relationship should not have even begun does not leave the guy's head. Meanwhile, this guy's hard workout finally ends and he wipes the sweat off his face. But mommy is not going to stop there. She will make sure that the guy has a very good time. While the guy cannot escape this terrible fate, the course of events ends abruptly and is transferred to the building. Judging by the dialogues that take place inside, some kind of planned meeting took place and is being transferred upstairs. In front of us is the same woman who just recently trained. They call her mom and tell her that she is at home. Next, we see our already familiar, slightly worried protagonist looking at his mother, who is a little out of her mind. Even though this girl drank too much Coca-Cola, she still remembers her beloved son. After she realizes her son is standing in front of her, she asks him if he has come to pick her up. While the guy takes his mother back home, she invites him to go somewhere tomorrow and eat something delicious. Reaching towards the door, the guy reminds his mother that she herself constantly tells him that she is busy, and besides, she is busy tomorrow. The guy's mother, who can barely stand on her feet, tells him that this is all because she is very proud of her son Sang-hoo. Our main character's name is Jin Sang-hoo, and the woman next to him is his stepmother, whose name is Im Shin-hyo. After we hear this name, we immediately understand that we are not talking about an ordinary person, but about a real star. This girl is a popular actress, moreover. She even managed to be featured on the cover of a magazine. The girl was rewarded with a nomination for the fact that she exclusively plays the role of the main villains, and this is a kind of Oscar. Finding himself in the crowd, the guy wonders if this girl is really some kind of bitch in real life. After all, judging by the way she immerses herself in the role of the main villain, most likely she really can have such a character. Moving to the present time, we continue to watch as the guy continues to lead his stepmother somewhere. Without the help of her son, this woman could not even take a couple of steps. The guy immediately tells her that she needs rest. Our main character is the only son who is waiting at home for his mother, but the fact is that he secretly wants to drive his limousine into her garage. Immediately after this woman finds herself in her bed, she immediately switches off. The guy eats her with his eyes. Our main character simply cannot take his eyes off his stepmother, who is now in an incredibly vulnerable position. Immediately after the guy realizes that now she is the easiest target possible, a slight grin appears on his face. Our main character simply cannot resist the incredibly soft and pleasant skin, the graceful body that is in front of him. This is why the guy decides that he is very bored, so he simply has to play a little PlayStation 6 on joysticks. But after some time of living together, our main character managed to understand the danger of his stepmother's attractiveness. After our main character continues to try to play with the joysticks, something unexpected happens. One of the parts simply flies away. Our main character is not stupid, and after a moment he realizes that he has a great opportunity to take a test drive, you know what I mean? While the guy had already begun to reach out with his hungry hands to this masterpiece, he immediately stopped. Looking at his hand, he began to breathe heavily. He was still able to stop himself for a while by asking himself the question of what he was just doing. But this defenseless stepmother continued to beckon him. He simply cannot allow anyone to find out about the secret feelings that he secretly has towards his stepmother with whom he lives. The course of events accelerates, and the guy, returning home, announces his arrival and that he will leave here what she asked him to buy. The woman accelerates the speed of her son. She also hopes that this time he was not mistaken in the store and really bought what they needed. This time we have before us the older sister of our main character named Seoyun Nuna. She has an incredible physical shape. It's not for nothing that she works out. Our protagonist's older sister managed to successfully debut as a professional golfer. She achieved all this as a high school student, which is worthy of praise. And the beautiful appearance of this girl's goddess and her relationship with a famous actress became the reason for rumors to arise. But she stopped them all by proving her skills. These rumors were really not very substantiated because, first of all, this girl was a real athlete who always remains true to her work. While a basketball ball flies in front of us in slow motion, we learn that this girl is able to instantly notice changes in people who are nearby. Continuing the training, the older sister of our main character asks to leave everything he bought where he is standing. She also asks him to come to her for a second. Due to the fact that this girl is wearing a very tight suit and has a cool uniform, the guy just can't help but blush, but he agrees to come over. While the girl continues to do professional stretching, she asks the guy if he became part of their family when he was only 6 years old. Scratching his head before answering, our main character replies that everything was like that, and at that time he was really about 6 years old. When our main character was little, he was very lucky because he was rescued from a very cruel family that forced him to farm for a woman. He was saved by his current family. Due to the psychological trauma that our main character received due to his past problematic family and the anxiety that he developed, he now mostly stays at home. Meanwhile, our main character's older sister tells him that she has been thinking for a long time about whether she should start this conversation with him or not. While our main character is thinking that he will not tolerate their family being destroyed, his sister asks him what he was doing there. After our main character hears this question, he looks at the girl in surprise because the question is very vague and it is not clear what she means by the word there. The guy is trying to clarify the question with this girl. By asking her what exactly she means, the older sister asks, not to be a fool because he understands perfectly well what we are talking about. Our main character's older sister even breaks away from her workout to tell the guy that she saw everything, so there's no point in him lying to her face. But our main character was really in a stupor for some time. He was trying to understand what his older sister had and what she was even talking about right now. But after a certain thought comes into the head of our main character, his stream of thinking ends abruptly, and he refuses to believe what he thought. Remembering the episode where the greedy hands of our protagonist attacked his own stepmother, he cannot believe that his older sister was somehow able to catch him. Our protagonist's older sister continues by asking her brother if he thinks he can get away with this just because his stepmother was fast asleep. But our main character immediately denies his family, telling his older sister that everything is not as she thought, because they are a real family and this could not have happened. However, the words of our main character do not convince this girl at all. Approaching him, she wonders what would have happened if she had not then intervened in his attempt to do something. Our main character's older sister continues to attack our main character. She asks him if he really thought that she wouldn't notice anything and would miss it. At this moment, this girl understands that if she had not been in the right place at the right time, this guy would have eaten his stepmother with his own hands. After this hail of accusations rained down on our main character, he simply froze in place and asked this girl what it all meant. Now our main character finally understands what she was talking to him about this very morning of the same day, so the course of events is temporarily interrupted for transfer. Moving to the morning of this day, we watch as some girl approached him to wish him good morning as if nothing had happened, and say that she had been waiting for him. What our main character now saw clearly made him embarrassed. He wondered if it happened again, but he was not against such a sight in front of him. But after a couple of moments, our main character still turned away. Closing his eyes, he asked this girl to put on at least some semblance of clothes. In response to our main character's request to put on rags, this girl tells him that she is hot, so she is not going to put anything on herself. Before us is the younger sister of our main character named Jin Miso. The guy's embarrassment was caused by the presence of joysticks on his sister. He asked her if she was an eyesore for a family member. After our main character was asked such a question, he immediately replied that this is not so and he doesn't mind. In this case, the younger sister asked the guy to forget about it. The younger sister of our main character and his new family always behaves like a child, but this does not change the fact that everyone loves her. Next, this girl throws her legs all over the throne of our main man and orders him to start, because otherwise she simply cannot fall asleep in a sweet dream. The younger sister of our protagonist declares that she is very tired, so he is obliged to massage her legs until she falls into a deep sleep. While the leg continues to move rapidly towards our main character, this little sister tells the guy that she will not let him go until he is finished. After such unusual practices between our main character and his younger sister, they were naturally able to get closer to each other because massage unites. Our protagonist's secret cardio tendencies made it a little difficult for him to control himself during the massage. Next, we watch as a guy holding his younger sister's leg asks her if she fell asleep and if he can stop. Apparently, the answer to our main character's question is positive, because we see in front of us a girl who literally sleeps without her hind legs. Looking at his younger sister, the guy understands that after all, she had a busy day, and she had been waiting for him for a long time, so it is not surprising that she quickly fell asleep. Apparently, our main character just now noticed the beautiful landscape that had just opened up to him after his sister fell asleep. Next, we watch as our main character's older sister approaches him from behind and asks Jin Sang-hoo what he's doing. After such an unexpected appearance of his older sister, the guy begins to worry, but he finds the strength to say that he was just getting a massage. Next, the guy told his older sister that he just wanted to wake her up in order to tell her to go to sleep in her room. The older sister listened thoughtfully. Our main character's older sister told him that in this case, he should probably wake up this girl and not just stare at her rice buns. In response to this, our main character immediately begins to stammer and try to explain himself by saying that he was already planning to do this, but he was thinking about a game in the League of Legends. After the older sister of our main character heard some mutterings from the guy under her breath, she asked him what he was saying and called him a pervert. Our main character, realizing that he no longer had a single chance to continue this conversation, simply began to leave this room. The girl asked him where he was going. Stopping in front of the door, our main character replies that he is done with the massage he was asked for, so now he is going back to his room. Despite the fact that the older sister of our main character did not answer anything after him, she looked suspiciously after her leaving younger brother. Thanks to her incredible insight, which allowed her to sense changes in people, she immediately sensed that something was definitely wrong with her younger brother. Clearing her throat, the older sister of our main character asked him if he understood that all this was wrong. Because they were one family, Dominic Toretto would support her. Immediately after this, the older sister of our main character was clearly up to something strange, because then we watched as she came very close to her brother. Approaching her younger brother as close as possible, she told him that she would help him. Sang-hoo, in bewilderment, asked his sister what she meant by help. Immediately after this, our main character's older sister told him that she would help him work out with his own heavy dumbbell. This woman with long black hair said that she is sure that our main character is simply embarrassed to watch the video of others working out in the gym with dumbbells and racks. That is why this girl came even closer to our main character in order to repeat that she was ready to help him cope with this problem. Sanho was shocked. The guy simply couldn't believe that he really heard what his older sister said. At that moment, she took his hand, trying to calm him down. The motive of this girl was simple, because what attracts her brother worries her very much, including Sanho, who was thinking about what would be the best thing for him to do. After straightening her hair, Sangho's older sister continued telling him that from now on, she will do everything to help him cope with his secret problem. Next, this girl took our main character's hand and put it on the joystick so that this guy could relax as quickly as possible in order to make the right decision. At that moment, Sanho's head was haunted by the thought that he should never have accepted this, albeit tempting, offer from his beautiful older sister. Seeing the uncertainty in the eyes of our main character, this older sister tried to convince him to accept help, because this is a rare opportunity to receive a favor from a sister. This means that our main character simply has no other choice but to just let her help her little brother, because she's just worried about her brother. After the older sister of our main character asked him all this, he did not dare to answer anything, because for him it was too exciting a moment, and he did not understand what he would answer. Our protagonist's inner Sigma awakened in order to pull his hand away from the joystick and ask his older sister to stop doing what she was planning right now. Stepping back a little, our main character informs his sister that this joke in her performance has already gone too far, so she needs to stop. But despite the fact that our main character was completely sure that his older sister simply decided to play a trick on him, she looked at her younger brother in bewilderment. Immediately after she realized that her younger brother did not take her words seriously, she looked at him with a serious look, asking him when she was talking about jokes. Next, this girl turned around in front of our main character in order to show him her beauty. She didn't care what he thought, so she took action. While the pants of our main character's older sister continued their escape, this girl told our main character that she had already decided everything, so he simply had no option. Our main character was in complete shock after his older sister did this. At that moment, he believed that he was in a lucid dream or in a clinical coma. After this girl quickly got rid of the unnecessary rags that hid the garage, she handed them to our main character, saying that she had been wearing these rags all day today. Next, this girl, who behaved very strangely, told Sanho that now he should use these rags from her garage in order to finally start training his hands. The condition of the older sister of our main character was that he had to think only about her in time as he pumped his hands with the help of a rag that she gave him. Despite the fact that our main character really wanted to say something to his older sister, he could only silently watch what was happening in front of him. While the guy was wondering why he couldn't take his eyes off this girl and why his mouth wouldn't open, the girl said that the guy had enough of what she gave him. This girl did all this so that our main character would no longer look in the direction of his stepmother. He could not help but notice that she was overreacting to what related to her stepmother. The reason for this is that their stepmother is a member of the incredibly popular girl group Spring, which has recently gained wild popularity among wide circles of people. The fans of this idol actress who were standing in the crowd were shocked by her incredible beauty and shouted to her that they would do anything for her. This girl with incredible looks managed to become incredibly popular as Mr. Beast from her very first debut performance. She blew up social networks with her appearance and talent. During the broadcast, she was accompanied only by positivity from fans. In the eyes of her fans, she is simply the ideal image of an ideal idol that is unlikely to be surpassed by anyone. Since this stepmother is an actress and Nuna's younger sister, she is very worried about her. Meanwhile, Nuna told his brother that from now on, he trains his hands only with her rag thinking about her. Moreover, now our main character needs to bring her a rag every evening to check for the presence of his works. The guy looked to the side doubtingly. The older sister of our main character immediately noticed such a strange reaction from her little brother. She asked him if something was wrong with him or what. If Sanho didn't cope, this girl intimidated him with the fact that she would be able to tell his mother how her son Sanhu grew up and what he was ready to do just recently. After Sanho had no more choice, he told this girl that he would do what was demanded of him, because in fact it was not difficult for him. Next, we watch how our main character finds himself in complete solitude with himself. He holds in his hands the rag of his older sister, with the help of which he will have to train. Immediately after this, our main character reaches for the mouse to find a suitable motivational video for training. He can't do anything about it, so here we go. Next, we watch as a girl of simply incredible beauty appears on the laptop screen. Moreover, for some reason she strongly resembles the guy's older sister. In the second photo, the same story happens. Again, a stunning beauty in different clothes and pose, but the face is still the older sister of our main character. After our main character managed to boost his motivation with the help of suitable photos, he began to take out his dumbbell to begin a hard arm workout. Finding himself in front of the computer and turning on a suitable motivating 10-hour video, the guy understood that his goal was to work out and direct all his efforts to the rags of his sister. After Sanho's training began, he couldn't help but pay attention to the fact that her voice in the video and the warmth of her rags merged into one. He thought about offline training. While his older sister Nuna continues to appear repeatedly on the screen of our main character, he begins to think that he wants more and more to try to train with her personally. After our main character in his imagination frees his limousine from his personal garage, he imagines how he goes to his sister in order to save her from her clothes and go to her garage. As soon as our main character began to imagine this process live, his training became much easier because now he had become much stronger and more intense for this process. In the head of our main character, there was a magnificent image of his older sister. It popped up in his thoughts clearly and distinctly, and it was very easy for him to train his right hand because it was realistic. With every second that our main character continued to train, he began to like the process itself more and more, because in his head it was all incredibly realistic. A couple of moments after our main character continues to train hard with the help of his thoughts and his sister's rags, we watched as he began to sweat from the exertion. Next, our main character imagined how the cardio workout with his older sister was coming to an end, and his sister was also very tired after such a powerful load. But despite the fact that the older sister of our main character tried very hard, even if our main character tried harder in his imagination, because for him it was all in reality, so the training was a success. After completing this process, our main character began to breathe heavily looking at his hands because they were all in his sweat, and the rag that his older sister gave him was completely wet. Despite the fact that our main character successfully completed his homework and right-hand training, he only thought that he was terrible, and he would definitely never be able to improve by becoming a Sigma. At this point, the course of events ends abruptly, and we continue when the door to the room of our main character's older sister Nuna appears in front of us. Apparently, he wants to hand in his homework. Next, we see in front of us our main character, who persistently knocks on the door of his older sister in order to tell her that he brought her rags as she asked. After Sanghu knocked on the door, he didn't have to wait for his sister for long because literally a couple of moments later, his beloved older sister opened the door for him and took care of him. Immediately after Nana saw our main character on the threshold of her room, she immediately grabbed him by the t-shirt, trying to drag him into her room, into her possessions. After our main character found himself inside his older sister's room, she asked him to be quiet because it was already very late and he could wake up the others with his inappropriate screams. Next, Nuna asked our main character how his training went. She hoped that no one saw the process of training our main character. The guy was in no hurry to answer. After receiving a comforting answer, Nuna reached out to our main character to warn him that he would definitely be in trouble if he was spotted during training. A couple of moments later, our main character's older sister looked at the rag he brought her. She was very surprised because Sanghu was able to work very hard on training his arm and dumbbells. Our protagonist's older sister immediately realized that Sanghu had wrapped the rag she gave him around her dumbbell, after which he began to aggressively train like crazy. After the older sister of our main character realized this, she approached him as close as possible to ask him if he knew what this result of his labors meant.
Immediately after our main character answered what this means, Nuna replied that this means that our main character wants to drive his limousine into someone's garage, and this is without a doubt.
After our main character heard such an assumption, he immediately moved away from his older sister in order to object, telling her that this was not so at all and she was probably mistaken. But despite the rather harsh reaction of our main character, this girl continued to rapidly approach our main character. She was interested in an incident that happened during training. Nuna told our protagonist that if she takes into account his homework, which he exceeded, then his words become less convincing and he definitely wants training. The girl was very interested in who our main character represented while he was drifting in his limousine, because the result of his training was a huge amount of magma after a volcanic eruption. Approaching our main character even closer, Nana asked the guy directly who he was watching while he was training his hands, because she was interested in who influenced him so much. Our main character replied that he did everything the same as she asked, which means that he only watched interviews and photo albums of his beloved older sister and did not resort to other materials. Immediately after our main character's older sister heard that she made the guy's volcano erupt so powerfully, she immediately realized that her guesses were correct, as always. Until this moment, Sanho, being in his sister's room, thought that she was just in a good mood, but after she heard that he used her video, she definitely changed. After this, our main character's older sister came even closer to him to ask something about Miso. She was sure that the guy understood what she was getting at right now. Next, our main character's older sister asked him to be a good boy. At that moment, Sanhu thought for a second that this girl looked very happy, and it was strange. At this point, the course of events treacherously ends and we see in front of us a video on YouTube in which someone's thighs are visible. Right now, the video is on pause and it's strange. Next, we see our main character, who is already in another room. He is informed that the video he saw was filmed by fans who had just posted it online. The younger sister of our main character, while watching this video, wondered if her fans were constantly focusing the camera on her hips on purpose. This interested her greatly because it was strange. After a rather strange and suspicious silence, our main character answered his younger sister that this was most likely true. The younger sister was surprised at such an untimely answer. Immediately after little sister Sanku heard such a strange reaction, she immediately threw her legs towards our main character again, expressing dissatisfaction. Everything again went according to the scenario familiar to our main character for his younger sister. After he threw her legs into him, she again demanded a massage from him in this case. The guy was very surprised after his younger sister again asked him for a foot massage, despite the fact that he had recently given it to her, but the girl believed that the guy should do it every day. Our main character was disturbed by what his older sister told him, then he agreed to give his younger sister a massage, but on the condition that he does it very little. Immediately after this, the hands of our protagonist touch the feet of his younger sister. He massages her every day, but he is always 100% sure that nothing will happen. But this time our main character looked at his younger sister's legs during a massage. Otherwise, looking from the side, he began to laugh strangely and tickle his younger sister's legs a little. Next, our main character decided to pay attention to his sister's face at the time of the massage. She asked him to massage her face on the other side. It was strange. Immediately after our main character followed the instructions of his younger sister, she told him that he understood her correctly, and she felt very pleased. Our main character simply could not interrupt the process for a moment in order to ask his younger sister directly whether she was doing all this on purpose or not. The younger sister of our main character was puzzled after this question. She asked what he meant because she was simply very pleased and these emotions came out on their own. After our main character heard an excuse from his younger sister, he continued to obediently massage her. She was very ticklish, but her face could describe other emotions. After our main character's sister wondered if her clothes were ticklish, the guy looked at the beautiful view and stopped for a moment, not knowing what to say. But as soon as our main character so brazenly fixed his gaze on the magnificent views of his sister, he immediately received a kick in the face for such arrogance and rudeness. While the girl was asking our main character if everything was okay because she didn't want to hit him, he was thinking about whether it was normal that he was looking at the beautiful views of his sister. The younger sister of our main character reminded Sang that she asked him to stop, but he continued. But the guy didn't listen to her at all. Instead, he was thinking deeply about something. Next, our main character decided that he had had enough, and it was time to end all this. Immediately after this, the guy looked at his sister again. But this time, he looked at her in a new way. From that very moment, Sanho avoided his little sister in every possible way for almost 4 weeks. All this, as expected, began with a foot massage. At first, he aggressively avoided all these requests. After that very recent incident happened, when our main character looked at his little sister in a completely new way, he continued to avoid her and not read her messages.